My name is Lauren-Brooke Eisen, and I am Senior Counsel at the Brennan Center for Justice at NYU School of Law. The Pulitzer Center on Crisis Reporting generously provided me with a grant to travel to Australia and New Zealand to learn more about two private prisons in those countries that were built over the last couple of years. The reason I wanted to visit these prisons is that they were created with contracts that focus on reducing recidivism. In 2017, I published a book called Inside Private Prisons, An American Dilemma in the Age of Mass Incarceration. And the book found that the private prison industry has not been held accountable and has not been held to very high standards in this country. And what I mean by that is that our recidivism rates are about 40 to 60% in the US. That means that about half of individuals who are released from our nation's prisons return within 3 years. So I was really interested to visit these prisons in Australia and New Zealand because their governments have asked the private prison industry to do better than they can. So I traveled to New Zealand first in the summer of 2018, and I met with officials from the New Zealand Department of Corrections, the Auckland South Corrections Facility, which is the country's first public-private partnership with the New Zealand Department of Corrections and Serco. I visited the prison and I spent the day with Director Mike Inglis walking around the facility. I spoke with incarcerated men who live in 6-room cottages, who cook their own meals, who write their own resumes when they apply for different positions within the prison. And I also met with other individuals in New Zealand who had played a significant role in bringing that public-private partnership to New Zealand. I then flew to Australia and visited the Ravenhall Correctional Center, which is a partnership between Corrections Victoria and the Geo Group. And that also is a private prison that was recently built in the fall of 2017. And similar to the private prison in New Zealand, the Ravenhall Correctional Facility was built with an eye towards reducing recidivism of the individuals who are behind bars in that facility. And I also spent a lot of time talking to government officials, advocates, incarcerated individuals. The questions that I have are, are these attempts at humanizing the facilities the right ones? Are the programs that these prisons have on the ground the right programs? Will recidivism be reduced in these prisons? And even if they are reduced, recidivism is just one metric, and that's really important for us to understand when we study prisons, when we study how to improve conditions of confinement. And these are the questions I explore in my research and that I'm still wrestling with, and I'm still talking to a lot of people on the ground to understand better. But I am hoping that this research will at least shed a light on some interesting innovative practices happening overseas and some potential public-private partnerships that might produce better outcomes for the people who unfortunately are housed in many of our world's prisons.